Well, hello everybody, and a very, very happy Friday to the Hormones Balance community. I want to talk about a topic today, which I think is really quite fascinating, because on one hand, I've been a big proponent of, making part of your diet organic, or at least a big part of your diet organic. If you're eating meat, definitely sourcing for animal meat that is animal meat that is grass fed and which is really the golden standard, right? Not just organic. And well, here's a kicker, you know. So I just want to. Sorry, I'm just gonna logistically check. Okay, there we go. Everything is good. And what was really interesting was that about 3 months ago, 2, 3 months ago, our manufacturer of the supplements has sent me a sample of something called liquid trace minerals. And I thought, I don't know. And I tried it, right? And so I took a glass of water like this. This is typically what I drink first thing in the morning, a whole quart. And I just did 2 squirts of this liquid trace minerals that I'm gonna show you in a second. And I remember like 20 minutes later feeling so energized. And it was like, it's not like the caffeine kind of energy, but it's like a real uplifted kind of energy. And I thought, wow, there's really something in this. So I started doing more research, and so I want to give you a sense of context, why I want to talk about this. Because on one hand, we talked to that manufacturer that we actually want to produce our own product like that, and that's what the outcome is. We've just launched our own what's called Mineral Restore. But I want to give you a little bit more context before I talk about this product and what's in it. First of all, if you have followed me for anything more than 5 years, then you probably remember that early version of Magdalena who would say, I don't believe in supplements. In fact, I think food, especially organic food, can really give you everything that you need, nutritionally speaking. So macronutrients as well as micronutrients. And then combine that with this talk I was invited to that was supposed to be highly educational. It turned out to be a multi-level marketing ploy, some kind of a spiel. And these people were just like, one of the worst marketing tactics they would have. And they tried to sell you stuff and like really pushy. And I absolutely hated that. I walked out, earlier than anyone else. But I always have that memory of anybody talking about multivitamins and depletion in our soil as always associating that with that event. It's a little bit like in a high school. Let's say there was a girl in your class in your school called Annie, and Annie was just a real nasty character. Then every time you meet any other Annie in your life, right, you always kind of have this resonance with that kind of a name, right? When it's like not a good feeling. So it's the same thing with me when it comes to multi-level companies for sure. I don't like them, but also, multivitamins and then whenever people talk about, oh, the soil is nutritionally depleted, I never really, I thought it was just a marketing spiel, to be perfectly honest with you. And so 2 wake-up calls came. First was when I squirted that into my glasses of water, and that was very enlightening. And the second thing that happened was, as many of you know, I've graduated from the Colorado School of Clinical Herbalism, and our founder, Paul Bergner, had issued a book, and I'll share this book with you, the cover in a second, The Healing Properties of Minerals. And I remember there was one of the compulsory reads that we had to cover, and that's when he really dives into depletion of soil and what happens, and that gave me a much deeper appreciation that this is not just a marketing BS, but it really is what is happening with our farming practices. And so I put together a few quick slides for you. Just want to share with you of what is happening, and post your questions as you have them. And what I'm going to do is, because when I'm presenting, I can't see your questions, but then Jean is here today helping us. So Jean will post that into Skype, and then I'll come over to your questions when I'm done with the slides. So just bear with me a few slides. Just want to really show you the data on what's happening with our agricultural practices, including including, unfortunately, when it comes to organic food as well, because that's the slides, that I want to talk about today is how can organic food be nutritionally depleted. I always thought it was the golden standard. Turns out, not really. Still better than conventional for sure. So the book that I'm referencing is called The Healing Power of Minerals, Special Nutrients and Trace Minerals by Paul Bergner. He was the original founder of my school, and it's a brilliant book. And if you're interested in things like what does magnesium do, what does zinc do, how does the soil get so depleted, then I do recommend to read this, to get this book. You can get it on Amazon. So I want to give you a couple of quotes and some statistics, which is really interesting, including like what are we depleted in. And so this is a Senate document from 1936. So this is some time ago, that says laboratory tests prove that fruits and vegetables, let me just do this. The grains, eggs, and even milk and meats of today are not what they were a few generations ago, which doubtlessly explains how our forefathers thrive on selection of foods that will starve us today. It is bad news to learn from our leading authorities that 99% of American people are deficient in these minerals, and that a marked deficiency in one of those more important minerals actually results in disease. Any upset of the balance, any considerable lack or another element, however microscopic the body requirement may be, and this is really interesting, microscopic the body requirement might be, and we sicken, suffer, and shorten our lives, right? So this came from 1936 already. So then on the other hand, in the 2000 study, and the study is referenced at the bottom here, of 20 individuals, 14 athletes, and 6 sedentary folks, published in the Journal of International Society of Sports Nutrition, said that men averaged deficiencies in 34% of mineral RDA. And remember, RDA is pretty low as it is. Like, if you were just living by the recommended dietary recommendations from the government, you probably would not be very well. I can tell you that right now. So if it's 54 of RDA, it's probably even higher deficiency for a healthy person. And then women averaged 44%, and the most common mineral deficiencies were iodine, zinc, and calcium. Now, a few other things, and by the way, we've got an article that's coming out later today. It's going to be published, so I'm going to pop the link later if you're watching this on replay. That and we have references for all of those statistics that says it's estimated that up to 75% of American population is deficient in magnesium. No surprise there. In 2010, no, sorry, it's my dog who's very, very needy right now. In 2010, study found that nearly 68% of American population is deficient in calcium. The WHO estimates that 25% of world's population is deficient in iron. According to the research in WHO, 31% is deficient in zinc. A Swiss study in 2020 estimates that 33% of population deficient in iodine. I'm actually kind of surprised it's only 33%. I thought it was higher. So I'm going to give you the explanation of why are we so deficient in just a second, what has changed compared to before, but I want to just give you I want to show you some numbers. So this is from Paul's book. I did a screenshot of this. 8-year decline of mineral content in apples. So here is an apple taken in, sorry, the rows here ran incorrectly. So this is the first row, 1914, 1963, and then 1992. So anyway, the bottom line to this is that what you really want to look at is the minus figures right on the very right column to extreme right? And it analyzed apples in terms of calcium, phosphorus, iron, potassium, magnesium, and then it analyzed it also at the bottom part, vitamin A, C, thiamine, which is B1, riboflavin, and niacin, right? All the B vitamins. As you can see, everything has gone down except the only thing that went up is vitamin C, which is kind of interesting. Why did it go up? But like, so this is how, it's like iron, look at that, 96% depletion, right? I want to show you a couple of other ones, mineral content of vegetables. So for example, carrots. Again, they also looked at the same thing, calcium, iron, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium. And then they compared it to potatoes and then corn. And if you look at the changes, look at the percentages, like how everything has just come down, except for potassium here has gone up in potatoes. Again, in corn here, everything is depleted, everything has dropped as well. This is looking at data from 63 to 92. And I suspect it's only worse now. And I'll tell you in a second why that is so. So then you think, the holy grail of health is green leafy vegetables, right? So then they looked here at broccoli and romaine lettuce, and look at the change here as well. Everything has come down too. Even calcium in broccoli, 53% down, right? Everything is down, down, down. In romaine lettuce as well, calcium dropped 47%. And those are only some of the major ones they were measuring. They didn't even look at trace minerals because they are so minute and microscopic, like the quote said, that it's sometimes even hard to measure them. And probably back in the day, it was even harder for them to measure them. And on the same note, nutritional content in beef and chicken has come down a lot as well. Why? Because if the vegetables are depleted, the grass is depleted as well, right? And then, of course, the animals are going to be depleted as well. So then the meat is depleted. And so it's a full, wonderful cycle of life. So, so you might ask, so what has changed? And the answer is fertilizers. That's what has changed. And our agriculture practices, to be specific. And so some of you who are especially gardeners here amongst us and who here gardens often, you would know that if you go to get a fertilizer for your vegetables you're growing in your garden, you are familiar with the term NPK fertilizer. It stands for N is nitrogen, P is phosphorus, K is potassium. And that's all that is being put in the fertilizers, including organic farming, okay? Now, the question is, what happened to all the other micronutrients and vitamins that we need as human beings, right? And here is a difference. Our soil no longer uses manure, because back in the day, the farmer would go around, collect manure, and then put it back into the soil. We don't put compost back into the soil anymore, okay? Compost is, yes, we compost a lot of times that's being used by, people's gardens that are your own garden, right? But not on a large scale, an agricultural scale, on the mass scale. We don't do crop rotation. Crop rotation, give me an example, like when I was in Italy a couple of years ago, they took us to this biodynamic farm. And that particular farm, what they will do is they rotate crops where they would, for example, one whole field will just grow alfalfa. And the reason why they do that is because alfalfa's roots grow so deep that they bring onto the surface all the nutrients of the soil. So the topsoil becomes then very nutrient rich. And then only the following year they grow it. In the United States, everything is all about efficiency, profitability, mass production. Everything has to be quick, right? We have a lot of people in the country. So nobody wants to waste time to be growing alfalfa for a year, right? So crop rotation doesn't happen in the US. In the same way, we don't rest the soil. In Europe, for example, in that particular farm that I visited, a biodynamic farm, they do soil resting so that the soil gets to recuperate, and only the following year they grow something there again, which is really fascinating. For example, they cover it with manure, let everything sink in, let the rain do its job, right? And then only then they will grow vegetables. Really fascinating. Now, the only really saving grace in all of this is that if you have access to biodynamic farming, do make use of that. There are certain farmers markets in the United States that do have access to biodynamic farming. I personally don't, even though I live in Colorado, and there's a couple of farms they sporadically sell at different farmers markets, which I don't particularly go to because they're too far away. But if that's your option, then there's definitely, why? Because biodynamic farming does exactly what I'm describing, and they use the old methods of farming and a lot more, okay? So for most rest of us who are, the Trader Joe's, who's not my favorite store, but okay, better than, than nothing, or Whole Foods or Lucky's or Nature Grocers, whatever is your choice, Sprouts and all that, right? If you have access to organic food, unfortunately, that depletion is still gonna be an issue. So the trace minerals that most of us are severely deficient in today's farming, organic included, just selenium, iron, zinc, and iodine. So, this is why I kind of put the one and one together, because when I said, like, when I put the sample that the manufacturer sent me in the water and just went I'll just show it to you. You just literally do half a teaspoon. That's all you need a day. So you just 2 squirts like that. That was a big squirt. And that's all you need, right? And it changes the taste of the water just very slightly. And that just gave me this amazing boost. And that's when I knew, that even me, someone who is eating so well and very diet, and I rotate things, I don't eat the same thing over and over again. I don't eat out very much, especially ever since I moved out here to the mountains, they don't deliver a takeout. So now I'm really stuck with having to cook my own food. And I could really feel, like, especially when I have it first thing in the morning, what a beautiful boost of energy it is. And so I want to just draw a distinction between trace minerals and like the rest of the vitamins and minerals. There's a difference there. Trace minerals will be things like the bromium and selenium and iodine and iron and zinc. They're very, very, very minute amounts of them. Some of them, like lithium, could be really quite obscure. You think, like, why would I even need it? But you do in order to function properly. So that's why Mineral Restore, I am so super excited to share this with you, because it contains 72 trace minerals in this formulation. And when you look at the product label, and Jean, if we could pop the link to our store for this, Mineral Store does not, by law, we are not allowed to put there that it contains 70 trace minerals, because by right, they are so almost undetectable in our test, and you gotta have a certain amount of nutrients of trace minerals per 1,000 in order to make a claim that it exists. So I'm just sharing this with you in the slides, but we can't put that officially on the label. It increases your electrolytes. We are sourcing that from the Great Salt Lakes in Utah. So that's really cool, because it's been collecting minerals for thousands of years. There's no inset or outlet of water. That's why there is no pollution to those deposits at all. It's highly concentrated. I do not recommend for you to be squirting that into your mouth, because it's gonna be truly disgusting. Why? Because it is 8 to 10 times more concentrated than seawater would be. And for those of you who drink seawater, you know how terribly disgusting that is. What I also found really fascinating, I thought I'd share with you, is that this matches the proportion as minerals in healthy human fluids. So it's the same consistency, right, of those trace minerals in our body fluids. So I thought that was including our blood, which is really fascinating. All you need is just half a teaspoon per day in a glass of water. I do it in a big one, because it doesn't taste so bad. If you can do it in a smaller glass, but then you just want to gulp it down. So that's about trace minerals. This is not the greatest source of, let's say, magnesium or calcium per se, right? This is not going to replenish you that well. And by the way, just to let you know, generally what people experience from something like this is that increased energy right away. I certainly felt that straight away, right? You can also some people experience a lot of hair growth coming back. So that's what, I was talking to our manufacturer about generally what does that mean? And they said, people are just telling us, like, the hair starts going back really quickly, nails becoming really much stronger, everything starts, the nails start growing faster too, they're stronger. People tend to sleep better, right? And so, but also because of the electrolytes, there's also less cramping, a lot less muscle pain. So, we are pricing it very inexpensive. It's only $23. And although our shipping, if you decide to get this, our shipping is free when you have $67 worth of stuff. So you have to put in something else to your store to get free shipping from us. So speaking of which, if you're looking for a good multivitamin, we have a Metabolic multi. It's not a cheap supplement, but if you read the reviews, just read the reviews on the link that Jean is gonna post. I think I just saw there was 44 reviews. It explains why people are just feeling so energized by this. So we've got everything from vitamin A, C, and D, and E, thiamine, which is great for brain function, riboflavin, niacin, vitamin B6, which is huge for progesterone production, folate, B12, biotin, pantothenic acid, just a tiny bit of iodine, magnesium in a malate form. And that's not going to interfere with the other magnesium you're taking from us, because here's only 50 milligrams. Zinc, which is super helpful for your immune system. Selenium, manganese, chromium, molybdenum, potassium, and then you have alpha lipoic acid. So you can read the rest of it. Inositol, the one on the right in the middle there, is what helps you with blood sugar balance. So, I just got an email from one of our team members who said, hey, I started taking chromium and my hot flashes are gone. I'm like, yeah, it's not the chromium, it's your blood sugar balance that's helping you to get rid of hot flashes, right? So that's really interesting, because a lot of times hot flashes are, and I often talk about it if you've watched my other videos on hot flashes happen when your blood sugar levels collapse, they drop, right? And chromium helps to rebalance that. So does inositol. And that's a wonderful substance to help you regulate your blood sugar level. So that's why we call it metabolic multi, because it helps you with stabilizing and improving your metabolism while giving you also the multivitamins. So I thought I'll put these two together because there's not much of an overlap between them. The Mineral Restore plus the Metabolic Multi, if you guys want to put them together in your shopping cart, and that way you do get free shipping. I also want to throw in additional $10 off, and the code is minerals10. Jeannie, if we can post that on one of the comments as well. So minerals10 getting it $10 off, and that's valid until January 26th. So this is like a little offer that we are running. And if you don't feel like you need the Metabolic Multi, don't worry about it. Just get the Mineral Restore, but then there's $10 shipping. So maybe put something else in your store that you might need right now. Okay, so I hope this was helpful for you, and it certainly was an eye-opener for me, and that's why I'm really super excited about being able to offer you this product, because I'll tell you, like, the minute I tried this, and then it's just like it started, all computing in my head that what we've learned in school and about soil depletion, and I was like, oh my God, yeah, like this is too good not to be introduced to our Hormones Balance community, which I know many of you are eating organic and you want to stay really healthy. So I thought, what better way to do this than introducing you to this product. Okay, so let's see. I have I see there are our links. Do you guys have any questions? Has anybody tried trace minerals before? What has that done for you? Nancy is saying, I just sprayed myself with a squirt of magnesium spray. That's awesome. That's great. Magnesium topically is wonderful. Sharon is saying alfalfa is rotated after so many years after it starts to die back. Corn and soybeans are rotated. Yeah, but alfalfa, you don't grow it for many years. You just grow it for 1 year and then you rotate it with a crop. Okay, so I don't think we have that many questions for today. Let me know if you guys are watching this on replay. Let us know what questions you have so that we can try to answer them over the weekend. And I hope you do something really wonderful for yourself this weekend, something very nurturing, nourishing. And I will most likely see you on next Friday. Bye for now.